When we talk about how we make ourselves sick or participate in illness, this subject always comes up, and it is forgiveness. And in sickness, it is that we will not forgive. I will not forgive myself. Perhaps I will not forgive you. Perhaps I will not forgive my friend or an entire community, an entire country, an entire continent. We participate in the illness of the world. So forgive me for asking, but have you ever not forgiven yourself? Have you ever not forgiven someone else and you knew it was the right thing to do and didn't do it? We are human beings. Have compassion here when you think about these answers. Forgive me for asking, but do you notice a repetitive pattern of self-defeating behavior in some people? Perhaps yourself. A repetitive pattern of not forgiving, preceded by not asking for help, preceded by trying to control everything. You see where we are. Perhaps, like some, you've given up. Not forgiven, but given up. There is so much wrong with the world. There is so much to be forgiven. Let's find a path that works for us. Let's talk about the difference between apology and forgiveness. I apologize. I'm sorry. These are the words that we bring in the presence of the other. We know intuitively that we've hurt them. We know intuitively we need to say something. We need to do something to correct the wrong. We apologize and say we're sorry. Often this intuitive sense is fueled by guilt, and in a healthy way. We know we have wronged someone and we want to set it right by saying, I'm sorry. We let the other know. We want things to be better. We find that an apology is also the ethical thing to do. It is, as some philosophers say, a moral imperative. Consider the United States and Japan. There were and are on a yearly basis formal apologies, back and forth now, between two that used to be tremendous enemies. Their apologies led to reconciliation and healing over the years. Apology is an ethical issue. It begins to set things right. It's also true of the truth commissions in countries like South America, Peru in particular, where parties who have harmed each other for years fiercely tell the truth about what happened, come into the present with an apology, and begin to reconcile old wounds. From making the apology, we move in the direction of making things right. We make restitution. I broke your bowl. I apologize. I'm sorry. Let me pay for it. Or here, I have found a similar one. I bought it for you in the store to replace the one I broke. I apologize. Or the one many of us hope for. I backed into your car in the parking lot at the shopping center. I left you that note with my phone number on it so you can have my insurance information and get your car repaired. How many of us have gone to find our cars damaged and no note? Apology moves us in the right direction for reconciliation. This is good medicine for our communities. This is good medicine for our hearts. In fact, it makes our hearts sing. It's medicine singing. And what does it mean, this word forgiveness? What does it mean to ask forgiveness as opposed to an apology? What does it mean to give forgiveness? The apology is accepting responsibility for our behavior, for setting our mind straight and righting a wrong and making restitution. Forgiveness? Forgiveness is a matter of the heart. When we ask forgiveness for what we have done, it usually implies that we know we have deeply wounded this person. It's just not the same as asking for an apology because you broke my bowl. Forgiveness has to do with healing an inner wound, and that's why it's a matter of the heart. It too is a moral imperative for reconciliation, for the healing between friends and family and communities, tribes and nations. In listening to the storytelling of my clients, oftentimes the issue of forgiveness comes in the wrapping of the Creator, some whom call it God. Their initial experience of absolute forgiveness, of unconditional love, of a change of heart, of a conversion of their life in the presence of what they call the Creator. They speak of an unspeakable love. They speak of the resolution of guilt. They speak of the healing of shame. This too is good medicine. Now, when we talk about asking forgiveness, you're not alone if you feel that that makes you vulnerable. It does. It is meant to do that in order to set the ground fertile and ready for reconciliation. But if you find yourself feeling vulnerable, you may hesitate to ask for forgiveness or to give it. It all depends on whether you're coming from a position of power or passion. If you're coming from a position of power, you will feel threatened because you will be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable leaves you open to attack. You more than likely will not ask forgiveness when you come from a position of power. You don't want to find yourself one down. You don't want to find yourself unable to engage in one-upmanship when you come from a position of power. If I come from the position of passion, which is why this is a matter of the heart, I'm actually set free. There are no limits on me, and it is no longer the old issue of power. The passion that comes with asking forgiveness brings freedom. Of course, I make restitution where possible, or I may ask you for restitution for the wrong you did if you're asking me to forgive you. But I'm coming from a place of passion because I care, because I want to reconcile, and I'm letting you know I want this relationship to continue. I want it to be better than it was yesterday, and I want it to be better tomorrow. That's why I have the freedom to ask for forgiveness. I'm really telling you that I want to repair our relationship, that I'm committed to it. The relationship that we have and the relationship of the community in which I live and the planet on which we reside. I want to repair it in a good way, with good medicine. One of the topics that always comes at this moment is, what if the person doesn't forgive me? What if I don't forgive you? Sometimes we forgive too soon without understanding the ramifications of the request. It's okay to take time to get some solitude and to ponder whatever action you may take. But I will wait for word from you as to whether you will forgive me or not. And you may have to wait sometimes for word from me as to if I forgive you. But that is my deepest intention for reconciliation of our relationship. And so what are the consequences of forgiveness? We begin to harvest a wealth of gifts between us. We find ourselves realigned in relationship to our higher power or the God of our understanding, realigned in our relationship to friendship and community, pets and plants, and certainly to the earth when there is forgiveness. Remember that I said it comes with freedom. We find ourselves anxious again to bring in one chair for solitude because we enjoy even when we're alone, because we've been forgiven or have given forgiveness. We bring in another chair because we love to be with this friend who has forgiven us or whom we have forgiven. We bring in a third chair because we love being in a community that is reconciling, a tribe that is healing, a nation that is set right on its course. We're even kinder to our pets, and sometimes our plants even grow more powerful. Here are some baby steps you may want to consider on this path of forgiveness when you ponder if you've been asked to forgive or if someone has forgiven you. Some baby steps, things to consider for forms of action that you could take. Take out your journal for the journey. Make a note about a time when someone apologized to you for something, for breaking something by accident, hurting your feeling, or when you asked for an apology from someone. Write about that experience. And then next, reflect and recall. Reflect and recall a time when you asked someone for forgiveness, or someone asked you to forgive them. Write about what that was like. Reflect on it to inform you about any new forms of action you may want to take. For some of us, we've not had someone ask us to forgive them. For some of us, we've not asked forgiveness when it was the right thing to do. If that's you, write some notes in your journal about what it's like to not ask for forgiveness, what it's like to not receive it, what it's like to be in a room with one hand clapping. Be kind to yourself in this writing. Make a commitment to go about your day with the habits that you have, but with a new one of observation. Observe how those around you are using the word apologize. Observe how those around you use the word forgiveness. In all likelihood, you will hear the word apologize more frequently in public. Someone will apologize to a waitress or waiter, apologize to a driver, give an apology for stepping in front of them. It's a word we're more familiar with and comes more fluidly for us. But also observe and listen for the word forgiveness. And set this experience in your journal for the journey. Now take a minute and reflect and think of someone to whom you owe an apology. And find them, if you can, and face to face, apologize. And let me know what happened. Take a minute and think of someone to whom you need to ask forgiveness. Write to them, call them, go find them, and ask forgiveness, and find freedom of the heart. For both apology and forgiveness, have no expectation attached, none other than the gift that you can give it yourself. What the other chooses to do, apology or forgiveness, is their choice and their right. It is also their destiny. Observe what happens. But when you have done what you needed to do, you have done well. The freedom to ask apologetically, the freedom to ask for forgiveness. These are two magnificent facets in which you can participate in your health and in your wellness and in your world. The freedom to apologize, the freedom to ask forgiveness. This is good medicine. It makes the heart sing. It's medicine singing. It makes for a good world. It makes for a good life. It makes for a good day. In the best of times, and even in the worst of times. This is good medicine.